This is September 6th, 2010. Norma Schwartz, who came from New York to California. So tell us about life when you were a little girl in New York.
Well, I don't remember too much. I know that, we were poor, but we didn't realize it. You know, we'd go to on the weekends. My father had a car, and we'd go to the beach, and we'd go to and never to Coney Island. We wouldn't go to Coney Island. We'd go to another off beach where you weren't allowed to eat on the beach. And so what we would do is there'd be a big park near it, and so what we would do is my mother would bring stuff for lunch, and then we'd go to the beach first, and then do all our swimming and whatever we needed to do, and then we'd come back to the park area and clean ourselves up. I always had to take off my bathing suit and change into my regular clothes, and I'll explain in a minute why. And and then we'd stay. We'd have our lunch and then stay there for the rest of the afternoon in the park. And this was a pretty standard thing, almost every Sunday, every weekend.
How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I have two brothers and one sister. My mother had 5 children. The first had died after he was circumcised because the mohel had used dirty instruments and became infected and died. But I had 2 brothers. My oldest brother, he was 17 when I was born. There was about 5 years difference between us, all the children, except my younger brother and I. We were 7 years.
So who all went to the beach with you?
Well, basically, my sister was there, and my younger brother, and myself. My older brother, of course, he was already 17 when I was born, and then he was married, and so he was, he had his own family and worked, wouldn't be with us then. Before I was a teenager, when I was maybe 10, 12 years old, I had contracted what they call St. Vitus dance. It was chorea. It was called chorea, which was a mild form of St. Vitus dance. And I wasn't able to, I couldn't, if I wanted to walk in a certain direction, I had trouble to go there that way. And my father had taken me to the doctor, and he had said that then told us what it was, and said I needed to have 3 months of bed rest, complete bed rest. And when you put a 12-year-old or 13-year-old to complete bed rest, that's not an easy thing to do. But I remember my mother used to braid my hair and wash and clean me and cleanse me, and on a regular basis. And I remember I was in bed for 3 solid months. Because if not, I could end up with a rheumatic heart. That's one of the side problems with it. Because of my mother's care, when I got older, and I mentioned this to the doctor as an adult, to one of my doctors, they said we would never know, because there was no residual, there was nothing left, my heart was fine, everything was okay. So that was, I credit my mother for all of that. I'm sure it wasn't a very easy time for her. And that's why I had to take off if I went to swimming. Then I had to take off my bathing suit right after I was finished swimming, so that I couldn't stay in a wet suit because because of my problems. So I remember they put a towel. We'd have a big towel, and be all around me, and they would take off. I would take off my bathing suit and take off the sand, etc., and all that, and put my clothes on, because there was no other way. You know what I mean? And be out there for everybody to see, but nobody saw anything anyway. But that's what we would do every time. You know, we'd go swimming.
So where did you go to school, and what kind of school? What was school like?
I went to the school went up to 8th grade, and that's where I graduated, 8th grade. It was a special school that they had switched me to because I couldn't participate in any of the gym activities, et cetera, so forth, because of this chorea problem that I had, and so eventually those symptoms went away, and I was fine. When I went into high school, I went to James Monroe High School in the Bronx, because that's where we lived. I was born in Manhattan, but we moved to the Bronx on Wheeler Avenue, and no, we were first, when we moved first, it was 169th Street, I think. I remember we were up on the 4th floor, and we had to walk up the steps, 4 flights of stairs to get to the apartment. And then we moved to Wheeler Avenue, and that's where we had that's where I went to high school. And the high school was it was a special thing where I got to ride the elevator because I couldn't go up and down the stairs. I wasn't supposed to go walking up and down the stairs, and I didn't have the gym. I didn't have to, go to PE, all because of my problem, and there were a number of others that were in the same boat as I was. I mean, for different reasons. Some had polio, and some had. One of my best friends had polio, and I was very friendly with her, and we all through high school together, Toby. And then when I graduated high school, actually I finished high school in 3.5 years. And so we graduated in January of '46. And then I got a job working. I liked accounting, and that's what I did. And that's where I majored in. And I liked I got this job at, through the school. They recommended, that we can go to this belt and novelty. It's leather. They made leather belts for coats and stuff. And I went to apply for the job, and it was a one-girl office, and I go up in these rickety stairs, and it's down on 29th Street, Broadway, downtown, in Manhattan. And I thought, my God, the school must never have seen this place, where they're sending me. It was kind of, really scary. Well, I got upstairs, and actually it was, they were manufacturing, it was a manufacturing place, and they were manufacturing the belts there, but they needed somebody to be in the office, to work, to do general office, everything that they did in an office, answer the phones, do the bookkeeping and all that, everything. So, okay. And they hired me. And I worked from 9 to 6 were the hours, with an hour for lunch. And I remember the owner had a son, and the son was the salesman there. And so he'd go around with his stuff and just to sell to all the various stores and all, the merchandise. And he'd come in and he'd sit down on the edge of my desk, and he'd be eating Indian nuts and throwing the shells on the floor. And he'd do this. He did this once, twice, 3 times. And then I turned to him at that time, and I said to him, I would very much appreciate if you wouldn't use the floor around my desk as a trash bin. I said, this is it's filthy. And nobody had ever said anything to him like that, And I said, well, I'm working here, and this is what I want. If I'm going to be here, I don't like this. Well, okay, he was a little taken aback. And, here I was, a big 18-year-old pisha. And I felt, I had a right to have at least the area around my desk clean, And so I guess because of the way I said and what I said to him, he wanted to date me. And he did. And I did go out with him. And it got to a point where he wanted to marry me. And he had given me, he had gotten me, not a diamond ring, but another gem, for the ring. And I told him, I said, I'm not ready to get married. I wasn't sure, because I was very annoyed with the way he held himself. His father's name was Epstein, and he took the name of Van Epps, and just like he was ashamed to be, to be known as a Jew, and that really pushed my button. That bothered me a great deal about him. I didn't like his attitude, his haughtiness, so to speak. It just wasn't right. And so I wouldn't, I said I didn't want to, I wouldn't accept it, not for a while, anyway. And he got very, very mad, and his father had said to me, he says, he's used to getting his way. And I says, well, guess what? He's not with me. And his father said, good for you.
So how long did you work there?
I worked there until I got married.
No, you were there after?
Thereafter? Yeah, I know.
Up until about the 6th month, then you left.
And then I left. But it was, I worked there. His father was a fine boss, and,
Yeah, I met the father.
Yeah, it's really nice. And, but before I got this job, while I was still in school, through the summer, I remember I applied I wanted to get some work. I wanted to do some work, and I liked accounting. That's what I was doing. That was my major. And so I applied to this dress store for for a job for the summer. And they hired me, and I started working there. And then I found out about all the rules. You know, the dress store was downstairs, and the offices were upstairs. The rules were we couldn't talk. The people in the office weren't allowed to talk with each other. They had microphones listening in on all our conversations. They knew when we went to the bathroom and when we came out. They knew what all, all of this. We couldn't talk, and if we did say, had any kind of normal conversation, we were reprimanded. And that really stuck in my craw. And you got to realize, here I am, 16, 17 years old. And I said, no. I says, this isn't right. And you got to realize this is right after, right through Hitler and all. And I says, what is this? I says, I can't talk. I says, can't say anything. And the women would say, shh, don't say it, shh, I says, I'm not afraid of anything, Well, one night they kept me late and asked me they wanted to see me in the office. And I went into the office, and they were reprimanding me about what their rules are. I said, what do you think? I says, you're doing? I said, do you think? I said, that you what are you, Nazis? I said, telling me when I can and when I can't talk, and when I can and can't go to the bathroom and all that. I says, I got news for you. You're not firing me. I'm quitting. Goodbye. And they were like that, and I walked out, and that was the end of that job.
Well, very good. So, okay, we'll continue this on another tape.